On June 23, 1972, Richard Nixon signed Title IX into law to equalize education in the United States. We used to sit on the sidelines. We used to only be spectators. We were overlooked, undervalued. We weren't seen as profitable, as interesting. Not worth the investment. Then, everything changed.
No person in the United States
shall, on the basis of sex,
be excluded from participation.
From participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected
to discrimination under any education program
or activity
receiving
federal financial
assistance.
37 words that changed everything.
Hi guys, welcome to P-Town Throwdown. I'm your host Pilar Guido. I'm a junior at Paramus and I play soccer and run track. Today we are going to have a roundtable discussion and talk about Title IX, and we have some incredible female athletes here today as well as some staff members. And do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Alexis, I'm a senior, and I play soccer, basketball, and softball.
I'm Caroline Kennedy, I'm a senior, and I play soccer and lacrosse.
I'm Kayla Branson, I'm a sophomore, and I wrestle and I play softball.
I'm Miss St. Joan, I'm one of the vice principals here. I used to coach volleyball, played volleyball and softball in my time.
I'm Miss Baselli, I'm a phys ed and coach teacher here, and I coach soccer, basketball, track. I also played those three sports in high school as well.
Now you might be asking, what is Title IX? So we have this short little video to get yourself introduced to it.
When you see little girls on the playground, when you see girls and women participating in sports, competing in sports, pursuing dreams and goals in sports, know that they do so with protections afforded by Title IX, protections which didn't exist until 1972, which was when Title IX of the Education Amendment was enacted by Congress and signed into law by President Nixon. Title IX provides that if a school receives federal financial assistance, it may not discriminate on the basis of sex. If any department or program in a school receives that assistance, Title IX applies to all of that school's programs and activities. In other words, if a biology department receives a grant from the National Institute of Health, the athletic department must also comply with Title IX. While Title IX isn't limited to sports, that's the context in which it is most often referenced and discussed. As to sports, Title IX applies to recruitment, admissions, housing, counseling, financial assistance, and more. There has been a significant increase in the number of young girls playing sports since Title IX was enacted, and while Title IX may not be the only reason for this, it is certainly an important reason. And those girls you see on the playground, they may go on to compete at the collegiate level. They may ultimately become Olympians. So a strong correlation between girls and women who participate in sports and who achieve high levels of success in their careers. It is believed that this is because participation in sports is empowering and can change perceptions and attitudes about women in leadership and decision-making roles. Title IX and the protections it provides can inspire girls and women to pursue their dreams in sports and otherwise.
All right, well, before we begin our discussion, we would like to thank our sponsors, Bagel Supreme, for allowing us to do this video. All right, so we're going to start off this discussion by saying, what do you guys think about the increase in participation in sports and allowing women to play and equal the playing field?
I think it's really inspiring that a lot of females come out every year to like play and participate in our activities, even with the stereotype that maybe like females can't achieve like as big of things as male athletes can, but they still come out every year and play and give it their all and just do what they like want to do and like have fun with it.
I think it's also incredible to see just the growth over the years. I think that's the most important thing. As time goes on, that we have more and more athletes, and maybe we'll be in a place where we have more female athletes than male athletes. And just this year alone, with the wrestling becoming a sport for females, I think is a huge success in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, and you could talk a little bit about your experience in wrestling as being the only woman on the team.
Yeah, so starting I was like really nervous because I was like, it's like a big guy sport. There was only like one other girl on the team, and then me and my friend Emma decided to also join wrestling, and it was very like nerve-wracking, like trying to start like competing with all the guys, and which was good how they also have like girl tournaments, so you don't have to just wrestle like the guys, because that's like a huge difference with like their body mass. Like even though we're the same weight, their weight is in different places, so it's a lot harder to compete with that.
I mean, for track, I mean, there's not as many girl distance runners as there is guys distance runners, so we're constantly running with the guys and stuff like that, so there's not really like the same amount of numbers, so it's kind of similar.
I mean, I don't play any sports that the team like consists of both boys and girls, but I do think it is really cool how like that is like a thing. Like it's not like we are separated by gender like constantly. Like there is the chance to compete against a male athlete or like a male to compete against the female, so both of you like do that, and I guess that's really cool.
Do you agree about the correlation between sports and achievement in other careers, and like what the video was kind of attesting to, or does anyone have any thoughts about that?
I can start. I do think there is a correlation to that. You know, as being an administrator, especially in a high school, it's not as common to see a female administrator than you do males. You do see, female administrators, and I think they're becoming more and more popular, but there are definitely correlations into different fields, and it's great to see that Paramus is a place where you have administrators that are both female and male, and that, I do feel here in Paramus we have a good, strong community of supporting everyone. But yes, I do think there's a correlation, and we're breaking through one step at a time.
To piggyback off that, I wrote down her name, Jen Welter. She's the first female coach in the NFL, which I think is awesome. Just because she maybe never played the sport, but she knows, what it takes to put athletes out there and be capable of executing her plan, and she's a part of it. And seeing more even like female refs reffing a football game or a basketball game. It's inspiring, and it just goes to show that it's changing, and we're setting the platform from these young women in sports, and there's only things that can go up from here. So it's great to see that's being involved more.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're constantly seeing now like there's more women in like management positions too, as well as like coaching positions that you're talking about. And I still think we have like ways to go, because I still think like women should be like coaching women's sports too. Like that definitely needs to increase. But yeah, we're getting. And then we were talking a little bit about our experiences revolving around Title IX, but do you guys have any other experiences with like inequality?
Well, I actually have like another experience, because I used to play football, and in the beginning, the only reason why I knew about Title IX, actually before all this was because people would ask me, how can you play football with like all the guys? And they're like, because they don't actually have like a female team. So because there's no other female team, like they had no choice but to like let me be able to play with all like the guys on the football team. And like I didn't think like everyone would be accepting of that, but like as like the years gone on since I played since like kindergarten all the way up until like my freshman year of high school, everyone became like really accepting of that.
I personally haven't really experienced it just because like the sports I play I'm constantly surrounded by other female athletes, but I definitely do see there would be this kind of like, I guess you could say like a stereotype of like female sports like aren't sports. A lot of the time you'll hear like it's not a sport, like it's just not the same as like when boys play it, and like so I do see it like in my life, but like I'm sure you see it a lot more, like you are constantly surrounded by male athletes, and like creds to you for always like pushing, like just doing what you love and like not caring. But yeah, I definitely see it, it is an issue, and we are like breaking the barriers, and it's becoming less of an issue, and like females are able to like do what they love like more like easily now, but it is still an issue.
When I was younger, there was no girls' club soccer team, so I was playing with boys until like first grade maybe. So I've definitely experienced it, but I enjoyed it. And then I also enjoy playing with girls too, obviously, 'cause boys are a little bit more crazier.
And then kind of segueing off of that discussion, like what differences in sports have you found, like compared to like the boys' teams or anything?
I think the biggest difference is for me lacrosse. Look, boys lacrosse and girls lacrosse is a very different sport, and girls like it's the only sport I feel like that's like very different boys and girls wise. Like soccer, boys and girls same rules, like everything, baseball, softball, but lacrosse is like we wear goggles and a mouth guard, and the boys were like full padding. It's practically like football but with a lacrosse stick. So I think that like that kind of falls under the idea like, oh, girls are weaker, like girls couldn't like play the way boys do. Yeah, like couldn't handle like being hit with a stick or wearing the padding. Like we're kind of just thrown on the field with goggles and mouth guard, and like you can't really touch anyone. And it just kind of because we're girls, like it's the same sport but played totally differently. So
any type of like contact sport, refs are definitely calling it differently, especially in basketball for girls versus boys. Like they're kind of letting the boys play a little bit more because they tend to come off a little bit more aggressive on the court versus, you know, one hand on a player, they can call it. So it's a little bit more unfair in that sense, like just the contact part of it. Same thing with soccer. But like hopefully they're starting to realize like we want to play just as hard as the boys do too.
Yeah, and I think to like solve this problem moving forward, like everyone kind of has to like change their mindset. Like we have to like think like this is legit for like women's sports. Like they can play contact. Like so, yeah, that's the only way it's gonna like change. And then, what do you guys think the future is for women in sports?
Well, for wrestling especially, they actually just made women's like team wrestling in the high school like official. So now they can have like teams, and you can like have like a whole women's team competing against each other, like duels and stuff, which I think is great.
in the future, I guess I hope that it's just more females like not caring about like what is like seen as right and what is seen as like not right, and kind of just I hope like females are able just to play sports the way they want to. Like they come out to play, not to be treated differently. And I also hope to see like more females and like you said, that an NFL coach, like the first NFL women's coach, like women could do the same thing that men can. Like they're able to coach and like teach people, and I just hope that more women like step up and like want to do that and like don't get like pushed down by like the men like all work there, I guess you could say.
I would just say being held to the same standard as men are in sports.
And then what goals do you guys have as administrators and coaches?
You know, I just think it's important for women to also be seen as strong. Being a power lifter and somebody who used to do those competitions, and knowing that there weren't as many at the time, maybe females, that there were men. But I think I've seen a big shift in the world of women being seen as strong too. And like a man and women can go up to the same squat bar or bench bar and like get it done. We can all work out together, and I just think it's important to have women feel that they can be strong and have muscles and be taken seriously and value that part of their life as equally as they might value education or their job or their families, that it can just be just another thing that we're capable of doing and can be just as equal to the men.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to follow that one, but I would just like to give like more advice more than a goal. Just set your bar high and make sure you're going after a challenge. You know, I graduated with, I don't even know, 80-something kids in my school, and I was like one of maybe 6 athletes that decided to go into the collegiate level, and 2 of them were female. And it's just like, that person ended up quitting. So I was like one of the only females to continue my career into the collegiate world, which I'm just telling you now, like, go for it. Like, it's fun. You meet a whole new, like, family. You're treated differently too when you're taking what you know in a sport into the collegiate world. Now you can use that in the classroom. You can use that when you graduate. It helped me, you know, when I got my job here, I had a background in coaching and playing, so it looks good. You know, just don't be afraid to attack that challenge and set your bars high.
All right, well, I think that was a pretty good discussion about Title IX. So now we're going to bring it to our audience and our audience hosts.
Thank you, Pilar, for that great segment. I'm Hannah Weisinger. I'm a sophomore, and I do cross country and track. And here we have some more female athletes in the crowd that have some questions for the people, for the guests on stage.
What is your greatest accomplishment in like your sports life?
My senior year, I was a recipient of the Title IX award, where they pick one female athlete for each school to represent. So I had the opportunity to go down to Seton Hall and have a luncheon, and I took my dad with me, and it was just awesome to see other girls. I think it was outside of the county, it was all over New Jersey, to represent their schools as well. So it was such a cool experience just to like meet others, hear their speeches, even meet Seton Hall athletes. This was right before I was going to King University to play soccer, so you know, just being a part of that program and being a recipient of that was just such an honor. So those were some accomplishments for myself.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and I play basketball and softball. Out of the sports you've played, which have you seen the most discrimination in?
I guess I'll start. I talked about this before, but I would say lacrosse, just because it's the sport that is so different, like male and female wise.
For me, I'd have to say football, because like wrestling, there was other girls, and like football was just so different, where I was the only girl on the team.
Yeah, for me, I think I'd say soccer, just based on like playing fields and stuff like that, and like things like that. Because track, like, you pretty much just run, so it's like kind of hard to discriminate in that. But
Hi, I'm Darlene Rodriguez, and I play softball and soccer. My one question is, I know we're young, but how do you guys plan to carry like your sports into the future? Like whether that's coaching or like planning to play club and like it's college or whatever.
I'll start. I definitely see myself coaching years after college. Something I want to do because Coach Basile definitely inspired me to see how good she is as a coach and her playing. So I definitely want to coach team.
I think next year at college, I definitely want to continue to play like an intramural sport or some sort of like club sport. Obviously not like at like the college level, but something just for fun to like keep myself going and like meet new people and like see all the other girls out there who like are continuing to like do something they love.
And for me, I'm only a sophomore right now, so I'm not 100% sure if I want to continue like sports in college, but I've definitely been considering wrestling in college because that's become a big thing. A lot of like colleges have been introducing female wrestling teams now, so I'm like definitely considering that.
for me, I mean, I'd love to play sports in college, and I'm like looking at like getting into it.
Do you guys think that men and women are receiving like the same level or amount of scholarships?
I don't know that answer offhand, but what I can like equate that to is just hearing about female athletes that are playing sports for a living. Just as, for example, this girls' female soccer team had recently gone through some
lawsuits and stuff with the soccer associations asking for equal pay as the men. So I don't know. We can only hope that they are. And if they're not, it's good for everyone to just bring awareness to things like that, and that we can still follow through as, for example, the soccer teams being paid equal and making sure that female athletes are being paid equally in sports and that they're receiving the same types of scholarships, same amount.
I'm not sure either what the answer to that is, but I do think that the scholarship should come based off of skill level and how well you are at your sport, not based off of if you're a boy or girl. And I did a project freshman year in Miss Mo's class about equal pay in sports, and after doing it, I researched a lot, and I did find out that every male sport is paid more than any female sport. Even if the women's soccer team wins everything they can possibly win, and the boys soccer team comes in last place, doesn't win a single game, they're still getting paid more. So.
I also know that some scholarship budgets are based off how many people you have on your team and the budget that school's going to get for that sport. And if some girl sports may not have that many players on the team compared to male sports, then obviously the female sports aren't going to get the same amount of budget to give them scholarships.
This isn't exactly scholarships, but I know now that the NCAA said college athletes can get NIL deals, men athletes, women athletes are significantly getting more money in those deals as well as more deals in general. So it's definitely another really good.
Well, thank you guys for these great questions. Now throwing it back to Pilar.
All right, we're gonna watch one more video before we end.
Got the heart, we got the spirit. We're gonna shout and everyone is gonna hear it. We're gonna shine, we're gonna outshine the rest. Oh yeah. We'll take on the world and we won't stop until we own it. Cause we're the best and everyone is gonna know it. Yeah. We want it all, nothing less. We're going hard. We'll be living large. 'Cause when we dream, we're dreaming big. We're taking it to the limit till we win it, till we look behind at the finish line. To the limit till resistance is gone. We'll keep pushing on, won't back down. They can shut us out. Gonna run this race till we're in first place. Gonna own this town 'cause we're here and we're built strong. We'll keep pushing on. We'll keep pushing on. We'll keep pushing on. We'll go all the way 'cause that's the only way we know how. Going for speed 'cause we ain't never gonna slow down. Going full blast, this is our chance, gonna make it count. We're on a roll, we got a plan, we on a mission. We're taking over and we taking no prisoners. We're kicking all the walls down. We're going hard, 'cause we're going far. 'Cause when we dream, we're dreaming big. We're taking it to the limit till we win it, till we look behind at the finish line. To the limit till resistance is gone. We'll keep pushing on, won't back down. They can shut us out. Gonna run this race till we're in first place. Gonna own this town 'cause we're here and we're built strong. We'll keep pushing on, keeping the faith, the only way you win the fight. Live every day like it's the fight of your life. That's right. You got a dream.
All right, well, I'd like to thank our guests for all coming onto the show today. It was great having you guys and discussing Title IX. And I'd like to thank you for your time, and that's P-Town Throwdown.